All right, folks. Without further ado, we have to take a good look and say, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" Trump sending military to the border is a brilliant move by our beloved Kid Organic. Oh my God! He's so intelligent. He's so smart. He's just telling it like it is. Okay, folks. Let's hear what the brother has to say today.
This is the harsh reality of illegal immigrants, illegal immigration, a country who don't have borders, a country who is not allowed to say, hey, we want our borders protected. Just like you protect your southern border, Mexico, you got the cartels running wild, killing innocent women, children, holding people hostage. Coyotes, raping the women, raping immigrant Haitian women. Haitians went through the southern Mexico forest, the terrain, to try to get up to Tijuana, to try to get into America. Many of the women were raped. Many of the men were killed. That doesn't make the news. That does not make the news. The fact that they feel as though they have a right to bring drugs in through the border. They have a right to bring in prostitution through the border. Narcotics. Guns. Oh, yeah. We have a right to come to America. We have a right to set up shop in your country. And if you say something about it, we're going to say that you're racist, and we're going to say that you're anti-immigrant. You hate immigrants. And then you hear people say, well, Americans are anti-immigrant. If Americans are anti-immigrant, then why are you guys still coming? I'm not going to say Mexico is anti-American, which Mexico is. A lot of Americans have went to Mexico and ended up dead of all colors. The people will say, "Oh, well, they were white." The people who died in their sleep were white. It doesn't matter. They look at them as an American. There's Americans that went to Mexico and died from a drink. Obviously, someone spiked her drink. Or I think it was a guy. But it was in the news, what, a week or two ago. The Italian men, the two Italian men that were pulled over by the police and abducted and was held for a ransom. That was what, 2 weeks ago? Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola company has been under attack in Mexico by Mexican citizens, cartels. This is all in the news. Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, sent a lot of jobs overseas and into Mexico especially. Sent a lot of jobs over there, and the citizens are still poor. Sooner or later, you're going to have to look at your government and stop pointing the finger and blaming it on everyone else. You guys are harder on the American citizens than you are on your own people. Seriously. It's beyond ridiculous. And then it becomes a safety issue for the community they live in because the undocumented are scared to call the police, right? So you have a lot of domestic violence. You have a lot of Mexican men that are beating their women, and their women can't go to the police because it could break up their family by being deported. They have to work. They don't have times where they can take off of work. So she gets a lot of abuse, and by them being immigrants, they can't get the full benefits of a citizen, and that's the reason why they need to go home. It's not my job. I pay taxes just like hundreds of millions of other Americans, right?
Just like I pay taxes myself, Mr. BBC, Mr. Afro-American male, Mr. I got to go overseas. I need to go explore that so-called culture. Then now, Mr. BBC, Mr. I got to go overseas, Mr. SYSBM. Save yourself. The link will be down below. By all means, do watch the rest of the video. You know, it's very comical. Like I said before, I say it again. When he talks about other groups of people, when he goes into full hardcore in his attack mode, he's only going to criticize the males. I told you all this. Notice I said, but look at the women. They're victims. I mean, they're being abused by the men and all that stuff, and that they can't go to the police, and that's the reason why. I feel so. I mean, that's why I feel so hard for them. They gotta go to work. So of course, this is what I try to tell you about Mr. BBC, the Afro-American male. He ain't gonna criticize these females. He ain't gonna criticize no Mexican woman. He ain't gonna criticize no Latina. He ain't gonna do. Now the men, yes, but not the women. Oh no, they're victims. And what's comical about what he just said right there is that they're illegal, they're undocumented, and they're going through domestic violence by this evil Mexican man. And he's saying she's working a job, she has no time, and she's afraid that he goes to the police that they'll break the family up. Well, sir, that's why they started sanctuary cities. That's the purpose of sanctuary cities. It actually allows illegal immigrants to report crimes without being persecuted themselves, or have relations with the police because they won't get deported if you're in a sanctuary city. That's why it was created for, which, by the way, Kid Organic, you are opposed to that, which is fine by me, but I find it ironic that you're saying that, yet you're opposing sanctuary cities, yet that is the purpose of sanctuary cities. And then you respond, well, he didn't say response, but one of his responses, well, that's why when you go to sanctuary cities, the crime goes up. I'm like, yeah, it does, because they can finally report crimes. Before sanctuary cities, they didn't want to report crimes. Then it became a sanctuary city. Now they can report crimes. That's why crime goes up. Very logical about the American. Very logical. Now everyone knows about the caravan and everything. And, again, Kid Organic is wrong a lot of things, man. It's insane. He's talking about Guatemalans. Okay, first of all, Kid Organic, you got to do your homework. It's mostly consisting of illegal Hondurans, not Guatemalans. Okay? Which, by the way, Mexico already had disbanded the caravan. Now this is not just him, but all over YouTube, they're having a massive orgasm over this situation because, according to them, since there's this large caravan marching to the USA border, Donald Trump and his Trumpists and the Dick Riders themselves are having massive orgasms on putting military on the border. Even though what's comical about this is that these people who were at the caravan were only 900 miles away from the border, and they were mostly walking. I highly doubt they're going to come in any day or any soon. I mean, it's going to take at least another month or month and a half. But by all means, I don't know where this. Not to mention what Kidderminster feels. A lot of Americans fail to realize this, but you do know that there's been over at least 70 caravans that have been occurring in Mexico over the last year and a half that roughly the vast majority have been disbanded by Mexico. Yet for some odd reason, one caravan goes through, all of a sudden there's national security crisis. We need to put troops at the border over basically people that are mostly family, children, women, men, etc. Which is fine by me. You can put the troops on the border. You can deport everybody. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. I have no problem. You want to build the wall? That's fine. If you feel like that's the best case to quote unquote secure your border, I have no problem with that. Oh, we're going to deport you, and I'm like, okay, by all means, I'm ready. I don't. Americans are just that stupid. Because I'm gonna tell you why. Um, Number one, this is the thing about Kid Organic. I know what he's listening to, by the way. The stuff that he listens to, I listen to the same thing because it's insane what's being told on YouTube. It's insane what's being told in the United States media and the YouTube USA version of it. It's so much propaganda to the fullest. Um, they believe that Mexico's trying to invade the United States through a caravan of illegal Hondurans. They literally believe that. And guys like Kid Organic is this, but Mexico secures its borders. Why can't we? Why us? I mean, and why is everyone else has a problem with our border? And they don't even realize this, but you do realize that no one's forcing to open the border. I don't know how to say this to people, but no one cares about the borders the way you guys think it is. I know you guys use DACA and legal immigration as cover stories, but in Mexico, they already stated many times that you can build the wall, just not going to pay for it. They're willing to accept their illegal immigrants from Mexico. They're Mexican nationals only. That's what they said many times. They're going to pull off a NAFTA, and they've been saying that for a couple of months now. And the fact is that also they said many times that if they want a secure border, that's understandable. That's been going on. That's what's being said over a year ago. And Kid Organic has this belief that we want open borders. No one is saying that, bro. You have this belief that people want open borders. No one is saying that. That's the hysteria that you guys are being fed in the United States for. You have this belief that everyone wants open borders and they just come right into the United States and get all these free stuff and goodies and food stamps and all that stuff when clearly that's not true. Then he started talking about, and I'm telling you, by the way, the reason why I say that is not true is because people that come to the United States come for money. They didn't came for food stamps. They don't care about welfare. They don't care about public housing. They don't care about this stuff. They came for money. They want money. If they're given food stamps, they're going to turn to cash. Now he started talking about the Haitians. And what's comically stupid with Kid Organic is that he believes that they're coming from Haiti. If you look at the map, from Haiti, all the way down to the border of Guatemala in Mexico and through the forest of the southern border of Mexico. And according to him, they're being killed, murdered, rapings are going on, but no one's telling this on the news. And gee, Kid Organic, I actually read news in Spanish, so I quite know exactly what's going on. You don't. You're just assuming things. And they're rushing to the border and they're hitting Tijuana. Okay, let's start by saying this about the Haitians. If Mexico hates the Haitians so badly, or treats so badly, then why are the Haitians are asking Mexico to keep them, and why they're asking for asylum? Yeah, I thought so. And number two, most Haitians are not coming through the border of Chiapas and Guatemala border. They're going through the coastal states of Quintana Roo and Veracruz. If you look at the map, it's actually the border between the coastal states of Quintana Roo and Veracruz is actually closer than is Chiapas. Most of them go through that direction, not Chiapas through the wilderness and all up to Tijuana. That's actually where they come from. They come from the coastal parts of the coastal states of Mexico, not through the southern border, bro. Are there some Haitians that go through southern border? Yeah, but that's not the vast majority. I told you. I told you all about it. And then he started mentioning about the Italians. Apparently 3 Italians were actually were traded off to the police, and they were sent to the drug cartels and everything. See, this is very important. Why I told people you have to read stuff in Spanish, because in the USA media they twist things. What Kirgag fails to mention is that the Mexican authorities have been contacting the Italian government and asking them for criminal records of these so-called Italians. What Kirgag fails to realize that those Italians were selling illegal armed weapons, also selling drugs, and also selling tools and all that stuff. And they didn't came to Mexico as tourists. And one individual had a criminal record, and another one had one with carrying an illegal firearm in Italy, some artillery weapon he had in his house. Yeah, does Kittergag mention that part of the story? No, he doesn't. Then he talks about there's the anti-American, which by the way, this is 2018. Which country is not anti-American? Well, Mexico's anti-American. Okay. Here's the thing I have to say about that. If you don't like Mexico, you don't want to be around Mexicans, take your money and go somewhere else. Oh, but look at the family that, you mean the family that got gas in his hotel room? Then the USA investigators came into Mexico and actually concluded the autopsy that they had a leakage in the gas tank? Or are you one of those people that believe it was a conspiracy? They were murdered. All of them were murdered. Yeah, I thought so. Then we have this guy coming up, and he starts talking about anti-Americans are spiking people's drinks. Oh, really? You mean the person that I think the individual that was drinking and went to the swimming pool, and then he drowned himself, and there was led to believe there was a spiked drink about it. Gee, alcohol in swimming pools. Doesn't sound right to me. But what Kirgag fails to mention is that during that day, reporters from the local media in Mexico was asking around about spiked drinks. They were asking people in the same bars, did you have a spiked drink? Did you have a spiked drink? They said no. So my question is this. How come when it comes to these incidents, how come the vast majority of our incidents are occurring towards Americans? Because I've seen loads of Europeans that are in Mexico. Other Europeans, Russians, Poles, Serbians, French, Spanish, Greeks, Italians, Albanians, Swedes, Croatians that go to Mexico. Some of them lived in Mexico for up to at least 16 years. And they don't have a problem with Mexico. But when it comes to the Americans, oh my God, like you guys, like oh, I was kidnapped. Oh my God, gangs are chasing after me, and oh my God, I was about to be hijacked and run over by people, and they're trying to take me for human trafficking. And my question is this: like, where are you going in Mexico, and what are you doing in Mexico to cause that attention? These are things I have to ask the question to Mr. Pro USA and Mrs. Pro USA. What are you actually doing in Mexico that's causing you all this tension? Because there's Asians that live in Mexico, there's Africans that go and study and go to school and work in Mexico. They got no problems. There's other Central Latin Americans that actually works and live in Mexico. They don't have an issue with Mexico. But yet, when it comes to the Americans, oh my God, the level of anti-Mexican sentiment is on an actual high. You want to talk about anti-American? Well, what about anti-Mexican? The fact that you don't criticize the Guatemalan government, you don't criticize the Salvadorian government, you don't criticize the Honduran governments or these other governments that are in Central and South America, you don't criticize them, you only criticize Mexico. And then you talk about NAFTA, which doesn't make any sense to me because the people that protested against NAFTA was actually Mexico. It became a major conflict in the southern border near Chiapas to the point that the USA-funded military went down there and basically did a massacre because the Mexicans there were protesting NAFTA. And your response was, well, they're sending jobs back to Mexico, but they're still poor. That's not true. That's actually a lie, bro. What NAFTA did was that they opened the border to Mexico and allowed big businesses to go from the USA to Mexico and have completely annihilated middle small businesses in Mexico. That's what happened, which caused massive unemployment, which led to the rise of Mexicans migrating to the United States. You're not going to talk about that. And of course, you're going to sit there. And this is the thing now. I tell you about Americans. They love doing this. When you point out about the stuff about the USA and what they're doing, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to start calling you leftist, communist, liberal, red wearing, hat wearing, flag wearing, silly man or silly woman because you go against Mr. Pro USA. The second thing they're going to do that doesn't work is that they're going to sit there and say, well, why don't you focus on your country and focus what's going on over there and you know, and we should do our thing. We should take care of ourselves. See, when they start saying that, that's a deflection. The reason why they're saying that, they're saying go worry about your corruption in your country. They're trying their best to stay away from the fact that they don't want to admit that the United States has been involved in these corrupt countries for a very long time. Not only are they involved, they created these monsters. The cartels, that's funded through the United States agencies. He's not going to tell you that. Many Mexican journalists, many Mexican people down there have been saying this for decades. What happens? Those people get killed. They don't talk about that. He talks about protecting the southern border. Why can't we and all this and that stuff? What carriers does fail to realize, back in 2014, the USA pressured Mexico, called the Southern Border Program, back in 2014, where the USA pressured Mexico into starting to deport migrants from Central America. This led the way to the USA funding through aid and militarization of Chiapas. And what a surprise, since 2014, the rise of migrant human rights abuses has occurred and skyrocketed by 110%. You know who was funding the training? You know who was doing all of that? The United States military. Are they going to say anything about that? No, they're not. Does Kirigag know about this? No, he doesn't, because he's American. I know what they feed Americans in their propaganda. And anytime when you mention this, they don't want to hear it. So they're going to sit there and say, well, focus on the corruption of Mexico. Focus on your country. Leave. See, I'm telling you, they're doing that because they don't want to get into the idea that maybe the USA is involved in what's going on in Mexico. He's not telling you that. He's not telling you that that the United States has been buying up land in Mexico for over a decade. They even tried to buy Baja California. They're not talking about that. They're not talking about the hotel agencies kicking out locals and building resorts and franchises and blocking the locals. They're not talking about the big corporations are moving in to drill oil and do mining and kicking out the locals. They're not talking about that. That's just not happening in Mexico. This is happening all throughout Latin America and other parts of the world. This is what the USA does around the world. Now, and after looking at that and seeing from a USA foreign policy perspective, I'm led to believe that the USA is threatened. They need the USA military because a bunch of illegal Honduran caravan, which, by the way, folks, the caravan that was stopped to the USA was 900 miles away. In response, they need the USA military. Oh, we need to protect our border. This is America. We got to protect our borders. America, fuck yeah. See, that kind of stuff. I laugh. I laugh because I know for a fact that's all just propaganda. Man, you Americans are led very badly. I hear how Black Americans talk. I hear how white Americans talk. You guys are being led so badly. The Mexicans are out to get you. Everyone's out to get the USA. Everyone's out to get the United States. Bro, newsflash, no one's out to get the USA. No one's trying to invade the United States. No one's out to get Americans. This is a stare that you guys really built your F on. And by the way, another thing too, Kidder Gag said 70% of the women get raped. Last month he said 80. Now he's saying 90%. I mean, where does he get these numbers? Where are these numbers coming from? And now he's saying that, well, they want to open the border because they want prostitution and they want narcotics and they want the guns coming through. Bro, first of all, time out. First of all, the guns are not coming from Mexico to the USA. That's actually the other way around. And number two, they want prostitution, etc. Well, here's the thing about it. They're not bringing prostitution. The thing is, why would they want to bring prostitution when it's easier to control in Mexico because it's actually legal? But he says they're bringing prostitutes. And let's say, for example, they're bringing prostitutes, bringing pedophilia rings and all stuff. Obviously, when you're a business, who is buying these women? Who is buying the children? It's Americans. Who's buying the drugs? It's Americans because you're in demand for it. That's why the pedophile rings in Asia all go to the United States. Why do you think the biggest drug lords from Brazil fly to the United States? Because you're the ones who are buying the most of them all around the world. Everyone knows this. Look at a map. If you look at sex trafficking, if you look at the web, you're the number one target because you're the ones bringing them in because you're the ones buying them. When you point this out to Americans, they don't want to hear this. Instead, what they're going to do, they're going to deflect and talk bad about Mexico, when in fact, numerous times Mexico said that you can have that it's understandable you have a secure border. Everyone agrees with that. No one's forced you to have an open border. They understand that. But you guys want to believe that Mexico's telling you to open their borders, which is not true. And as far as NAFTA is concerned, you do realize Mexico already said they're going to pull out of NAFTA regardless of what Trump says. This was a couple of months ago. And what I mean by pulling out, they're saying that, listen, we're not going to deal with this crap. We're going to make new deals with other countries, which they've been doing. In fact, they made new deals with other countries with around 40 new deals with roughly over 45 different countries. That is Mexico. Yet you're not. See, this is difficult. It's really difficult. And I've been trying to explain this to a lot of people about Americans. They're not smart. There's a lot of misinformation. And this whole idea about protecting the border and saying all the military to try to stop a caravan, I'm sorry, I don't buy into that. There's something else going on. There really, really is. I don't believe one bit you guys are afraid of a caravan. You're the USA military. There's something else going on. I don't think it's nothing to do with Mexico. I don't think it has nothing to do with some caravan. There's something else going on. And it's not about the border. It has nothing to do with any of that stuff. There's something else going on. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you send all the military personnel in the border to protect until we build a wall? There's something going on here. I don't know what to say. But you gotta believe what Americans believe.